Now, the White House said that Operation Midnight Hammer, which was a targeted military strike by the United States against Iranian nuclear sites, is expected to bring about lasting peace and stability in West Asia.
Now, the White House Press Secretary Carolyn Levitt took a dig at the past presidencies in the U.S., emphasizing that Iran was weeks away from being able to produce a nuclear weapon.
Barack Obama and Joe Biden sent pallets of cash, American taxpayer dollars, in a failed attempt to buy the Iranian regime's compliance with a weak and ineffective deal. President Trump sent a fleet of American warplanes to destroy Iran's ability to produce a nuclear weapon. The United States and the entire world are safer because of this president's decisiveness.
According to a CNN report, the Trump administration is considering a proposal to ease sanctions on Iran, potentially allowing the country to access up to $30 billion to develop a civilian nuclear program and releasing billions of dollars in frozen funds in a bid to revive nuclear talks.
The report, citing 4 sources, said that behind-the-scenes talks have been ongoing between Iranian officials and key U.S. and West Asian players, despite recent military escalations between Iran and Israel. These diplomatic efforts continued even after a ceasefire agreement was reached this week.
However, Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi said in an interview on state TV that Tehran currently has no plan to meet with the United States, contradicting U.S. President Donald Trump's statement that Washington planned to have talks with Iran next week.
No agreement has been made to resume negotiations now. I am stating clearly that no agreement has been made, no promise has been made, nor have we talked at all about restarting negotiations. But the fact that we are examining among ourselves what is in the interest of the Iranian people is another discussion. So far, there has been no agreement, no subject for negotiation.
Now, the Iranian foreign minister also said that a bill suspending cooperation with UN nuclear watchdog was now binding after being passed by lawmakers and approved by Iran's Guardian Council. However, the law will ultimately be decided upon by the Supreme National Security Council, technically led by the president, but ultimately accountable to Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei.
Furthermore, French President Emmanuel Macron said that U.S. strikes on Iran's nuclear facilities were genuinely effective, but the worst-case scenario would be if Tehran now exits the global non-proliferation treaty. Meanwhile, Russia has accused the United States and Israel of being responsible for the colossal damage to the activities of the UN nuclear agency in Iran.
It is the United States and Israel that are responsible for the colossal damage to the activities of the IAEA. No matter how hard they try to blame Tehran for all the sins, we cannot allow the bombing of nuclear facilities to become literally commonplace.
On the other hand, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has said that a victory over Iran could pave the way for new peace opportunities, which Israel must not waste.
We have fought with strength against Iran and achieved a great victory. That victory opens an opportunity for a dramatic expansion of the peace agreements. We are working vigorously on that. Along with the release of our hostages and the defeat of Hamas, there is a window of opportunity here that must not be wasted.
Now, his comment was an apparent reference to the Abraham Accords, US-sponsored agreement struck by Israel to normalize relations with the United Arab Emirates, Bahrain and Morocco. For more on this, we're now being joined live by John Erth. He's the Senior Policy Director for the Center for Arms Control and Non-Proliferation in Washington and former member of the U.S. delegation to NATO. Thank you so much for joining us on World DNA. Always a pleasure to have you.
Thank you for inviting me.
Let's just begin with the assessments, different assessments that we're getting from both the United States and Iran. The United States, we know, has been trying to push for talks. Iran, on the other hand, seems reluctant. We do know after what's happened, there is an absence of trust between the two. That being said, what's your assessment of whether the negotiation talks will go forward or not?
I think that it's very early in the process, and there's a lot of distrust built up. Remember that there were talks scheduled before the airstrikes began on Iran, and that these were canceled as a result of the Israeli and later U.S. attacks on Iranian military installations. So right now, the feeling in Iran is that they had agreed to talks occurring, and they were attacked anyway. So there is some distrust built up, and this is going to have to be overcome.
I hear your point, sir. Mr. Edith, just to see, I know it's too early right now, but if we see the developments so far, you have the US on one side, which is willing to consider easing sanctions and even provide Iran access to some $30 billion to develop a civilian nuclear program. And then you have Iran on the other side, which was supposedly obliterated as far as its nuclear sites were concerned, saying that we are not ready for the talks. Should it not be the other way around? How do you read this situation? It seems there is more of an outreach from the US to get Iran back on the table, and Iran saying we're going to take our time.
It's a very interesting situation. The deal that there would be economic relief in return for some kind of return to compliance from Iran was basically the deal that was on the table during the Biden administration, and the deal that Iran did not accept. So what has changed now? Well, there was a conflict. There were attacks on Iran. The situation is materially worse. Relations are worse. So the conditions are substantially worse now than they were 4 years ago. So it's difficult to see that there are grounds for much agreement. That said, I'm a professional diplomat, and I always think that there is a good reason to talk, and that is better than further violence. So I would like to see the talks begin, and I would like to see the different sides explore where there might be grounds for common ground and possible agreement going forward.
Right, Mr. Harris, of course, but from what we're seeing right now, Iran does appear to be rather adamant. Of course, the cooperation when it comes to the IAEA, that's always been a sticking point. Right now, again, it's in the spotlight. Do you feel this is more damaging, considering this will negate chances of monitoring Iran's nuclear programs in the future? And that pretty much brings us back to square one. And can this perhaps spell Iran's exit from the non-proliferation treaty?
That's an excellent question. I think that this was a very carefully considered step that Iran has made. They stopped cooperation with the IAEA. They did not withdraw from the NPT yet. This was a clear signal that they are serious. And this is one piece of leverage that they have. They know that the rest of the world does not want to see them stop cooperating. The cooperation was minimal anyway. Right. And they do not want to see withdrawal from the NPT. So this is a way to signal we are serious about this. We're going to do something that you don't like, and we're going to hold this as leverage in possible negotiations coming up. So it's a shrewd negotiating move.
I hear your point, sir. That was John Edith joining us here on World DNA. Always a pleasure speaking with you. There will be lots more to discuss as this unfolds. It's a very, very tricky time as we are proceeding into these talks yet again. Would love to have you on the show again.
Thank you very much.